Hey everyone, how's it going? Forrest here, again with another installment of my complete analysis of all 389 Bach chorale harmonizations. Today we're looking at Wenn, Stündlein, vorhanden and East, which translates to if the hour of my death is at hand. This is a pretty tricky chorale to analyze. The chords were straightforward, but there were some interesting cadences and modulation points that I have a concise analysis for, but still not 100% on, but I'll talk through my thought process as I analyze the chorale. 3 sharps in the key signature. We're in the key of A major because we start on A and we end on A. Then we have G sharp, B, E, and E. That's an E major triad over G sharp, or 5-6. We then have F sharp, A, D sharp, and F. F sharp rather. That's a D sharp diminished triad in first inversion, so that would be 7-6 of 5, because that's the leading tone to E, and E is our 5. And then we have a root position E major triad after that, with a passing 7th in the bass. And then we have C sharp, E, and A. That's an A major triad in first inversion, passing tone in the alto. And then we have B, D, G sharp, and B. That would be a G sharp diminished triad, or 7-6, neighbor tone in the alto. And then we have E sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and C sharp. This would be C sharp major over E sharp, 5-6 of 6, because that would be the dominant of F sharp, and F sharp is our 6. However, this sounds like an authentic cadence, more specifically an imperfect authentic cadence in the key of F sharp, so I'm going to say that we've modulated here to F sharp, albeit briefly, so 5-6 right there, and then we cadence on F sharp minor on beat 3. It's really interesting because the 5-1 at the end of the phrase really solidifies the modulation, despite there not really being any F sharp minor ideation before this point. So I think like immediately after we're back in the key of A major until the next cadence, which is another imperfect authentic cadence, but in the key of A major. So we'll just say that this is now 6, and we'll just call that a passing tone, and then we'll just keep modulating in A major. G sharp, E, B, and E. That's an E major triad in first inversion. We have some passing tones in the alto and the bass. Then we have E natural, E, B, G sharp, and E. That's just an E major triad in root position. Some more passing tones. A, B, E, and C sharp. We have a passing tone in the soprano. I think this B is just a suspension, and the chord just sort of rotates over the next beat as the bass leaps down. So this is just a root position 1 chord with a 9/8 suspension, or not really 9/8, but like a 2-1 suspension that gets turned into a 6 because the bass leaps down and inverts the chord on beat 4 to A major over C. We then have B, A. Oh, you know what? That's so weird. I'm so sorry, I forgot to transpose the bass line up an octave, but all the notes should still be the same. Just imagine we're not looking at the tenor treble clef, we're just looking at regular treble clef here. That's why I was getting confused. I'm like, wow, this is a really deep bass line, or a really deep tenor line. No, it's just because I forgot to transpose it up. Okay, so this would be B minor 7 in root position. It's a 2-7 chord in the key of A major. Then we have E, G sharp, E, and D. That is a 5-7 chord. E7 with no 5th. And then we have A, E, and C sharp. That is a tonic triad. Okay, looking ahead, we have a really interesting cadence here. We have A to D. Now, to me, it doesn't sound like there's a modulation, but because I don't know of a name of a cadence where we would be moving from the tonic to the 4 of the scale, to the subdominant. We're going to be calling this an imperfect authentic cadence in the key of, what would it be? In the key of D major. But I'm still looking for someone to find that answer for me because I haven't been able to. Okay, so we're looking for a point where we modulate to D major, and to be honest, I think it's going to happen in and around the cadence, depending on how we look at it. So we're still in A major for quite some time. We have B, A, D, B, A, B, and D. I think this A is an accented non-chord tone, and this is actually G sharp diminished over B, so 7-6, which makes sense because the next chord is A major over C sharp, so 1-6. Passing tone in the bass. We then have E, G sharp, E, and B. It's our root position, E major chord, passing 7th in the alto. Then we leap up an octave in the tenor. F sharp, C, and A. That is an F sharp minor triad, so 6. Then we have all the voices moving, and you know what I like to do when I see all the voices move, see if the passing chord can be analyzed. G sharp, E, B, and B. In this case it can. That's E major over G sharp, so 5-6. And then we get A, E, A, and C sharp. That is a tonic triad, root position. Then the alto leaps up an octave, kind of mimicking what happened in the tenor. And then we have A with the G right here. Actually, we're in cadential territory. We'll say that we've modulated to D here. Call this 5. And with this G natural here, we'll call this 7, because it's the same chord, just the quality changes. Or the same structure, but the quality changes. And then we cadence on 1. D major, D, D, F sharp, and A. Okay, looking ahead, the melody still sounds like it's in the key of A major to me at this point. So we'll say that this D major chord is now 4 in the key of A major. Kind of like how we have a very brief modulation here. And then we go to 1, right? A, E, A, and C sharp. That's our tonic triad. Passing tones in the outer voices. C sharp, E, G sharp, E. That would be a C sharp minor triad. But if you look at this G sharp like a accented non-chord tone, this would be 1-6. So I'll offer that analysis. Okay, then we have G sharp, E, B, and E. That's E major over G sharp, so 5-6. A, E, A, and C sharp. That's a tonic triad. Passing tones in 3 of the voices. Then we have A sharp, C sharp, C sharp, and E. That's A sharp diminished, which would be the leading tone to B, which is our second. So 5-7 of 2. And if we look ahead to the next cadence, we actually have a half cadence where we have F sharp major as our cadential chord. So I think we've actually modulated to the key of B minor here. And we can just call this 7 because B minor is now our tonic. We leap up to F here, and that actually would turn this chord into 5-6 if you so choose to analyze that chord on that offbeat. B, F sharp, C, B, or D. That's a suspension over the bass, so that would just be a tonic triad. Then we have B, E sharp, B, and D. That would be, let's see, that would be 7-4-3, right? That would be E sharp diminished over B, yeah, a 7-4-3, right? E sharp, B, B, and D. No G sharp in this chord, so it would be incomplete, but with diminished chords, it's the fifth of the chord, not the third of the chord that defines it, so omitting the third in a diminished seventh chord is, in my eyes, okay. And if Bach does it, of course it's okay. F sharp, A, and C sharp, or sorry, F sharp, and sorry, this is 7, 4, 3 of 5. It's not diatonic to the key of B minor. Yes. So we have F sharp, A sharp, and C. There's our 5 chord. And then listening to the melody here, even though our next cadence is it's an imperfect authentic cadence in the key of F sharp minor, it sounds like we go back to A major for a little bit after the fact. So this is definitely an imperfect authentic cadence where we end on A minor, or sorry, F sharp minor, but I think we go to A major after this E sharp right here. It just sounds like A major to me, which is what's been guiding my analysis up until this point, is what it sounds like. Where the modulation sounds like it happens, I'm trying to be more sensitive to that. And I think for all intents and purposes, I'm pretty good at it. But E sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and C sharp, that is 5, 6 of 5, right? Because F sharp is our 5 presently, and C sharp major over E sharp is the dominant of that. But I think we've modulated here. The bass, the melody sounds like A major, so we can just say that this secondary dominant is now 5 of 6, because F sharp is now our 6 in the key of A major. And then it goes to it looks like it if you're spelling from the bottom up, F sharp, A, F sharp, but we get D. It's like a deceptive progression. It's like 5 going to 6 in the key of F sharp minor. But instead, we are going to 4. That's just expressing it in terms of A major, which is what the melody sounds like right now. And then we have A, E, and C sharp, which is 1, B, F sharp, D, and B. That would be a root position 2 chord, or sorry, this is not a B, this is a D, we're in bass clef, so a B minor triad in first inversion. Then we have passing tones in the lower voices, E, G sharp, D, and B, kind of like a passing 5-7 here. And then we have F sharp, A, C, and A. That is another deceptive progression. And I think because we're getting ready for the cadence in F sharp minor, this might be our modulation point back to F sharp minor right here. So 1. You could analyze this whole section in F sharp minor 2. And if that were the case, we can add it in parentheses at the bottom here. We could say in the key of F sharp, this would be, or actually, could you express it in terms of F sharp minor? Yeah, you could. You could say 5, 6 right there. And then you could call this 6. And then you can call this A major 3. And then you can call this B minor triad 4. Or 4-6 rather, and then we have this passing 7 chord right here, 7-7, and then we cadence on 1. We can call that analysis in the key of F sharp minor as well if you hear this entire melody in F sharp minor. I personally don't. The melodies even though the bass is harmonizing the melody with F sharp minor as a chord in mind, it doesn't sound like F sharp minor until this point to me. And then we start to get E sharps after the fact. Here we have F sharp, G sharp, C sharp, and E. That's obviously a suspension, so E sharp, G sharp, C sharp, and C sharp. That would be 5-6, in other words C sharp major over E sharp. And here we have, we have E sharp, G sharp, C sharp, and C sharp again, so no need to reanalyze. But here the chord turns into 5-3 because it skips down from E sharp to C sharp, and then we cadence on 1 right here. Okay, so looking ahead to the next 2 cadences, they're both in the key of A major, but before we skip ahead too far, we have a half cadence in the key of A major here because we cadence on, well, E major. Did I say E major? I meant A major. We have a half cadence in the key of A major where we cadence on E major. So we'll go ahead and call this F sharp minor chord 6 in the key of A major. Then we have E, G sharp, E, and B. It's a root position 5 chord, E major, A, E, and C sharp. Root position tonic triad, passing its tone in the bass, F sharp, A, F sharp, and C. Root position F sharp minor triad with a passing 7th in the bass. Both of these are passing 7th, so that would be a 6. Well, that would be a 6 chord. D sharp, B, F sharp, F sharp. That would be 5, 6 of 5 because B major is the dominant of E, and then we get 5-3 as the chord inverts or turns into root position on 3 and E, E, G sharp. Yeah, that would be a 5 chord, passing 7th in the bass. And then we have C sharp, E, E, and A major triad in first inversion, passing tone in the tenor. And we have kind of like 5-3 going on this beat right here, passing 7. Oh, actually, you know what? I catch myself doing that sometimes. That's not a 5-3 if there's also a 7 happening. So we'll just go ahead and leave that analysis out. Then we have B, D sharp, and F. That would just be a root position B major triad or 5 of 5, right? Because it's the dominant of 5. And then we cadence on E major because it's a half cadence. Okay, our last cadence, we're almost there. This is a very harmonically dense chorale, but we're getting there. Perfect authentic cadence in the key of A major. So let's just analyze to the end. So we have C sharp, G sharp, C sharp, and E natural this time. That's a root position 3 chord. And 3 usually wants to go to 6, F sharp, C sharp, and A. Root position 6 chord, F sharp minor, F sharp, D, and A on this beat right here, even though these are non-chord tones. Or actually, that F sharp is a chord tone. Let me go ahead and erase that. We could say that there's kind of like a passing 4-6 going on here, just because that D changes the quality of the chord, kind of like how this D right here changed the quality of the 1 chord to a 4 chord. Okay, then we have E, E, or G sharp, E, E, and B. That's E major over G sharp, or 5-6. Then we have A, C sharp, E, and C sharp, tonic triad. Some non-chord tones happening here. And then we have, it's kind of hard to say what this next chord is, just because it's a little ambiguous. We have D, G sharp, and B all over A, but then when the G sharp gets introduced, we have an A in the alto and a C sharp. So it's kind of like if this was a G natural, that would make sense because we would go to a D chord on the next beat, but we don't. I really think what's being implied here is kind of like a diminished triad or a dominant triad. Maybe we'll call it 5-6, or maybe 7. Honestly, this suspension in the bass and the fact this isn't a G natural to imply dominant of the next chord is kind of confusing, but I think a dominance being implied here. F sharp, A, and D. That is a D major triad in first inversion. Not a lot of 4 chords in this chorale, actually, in proportion to the rest. Yeah, considering how harmonically dense it is, not a lot of 4 chords. Then we have E, F sharp, A, and C. let's see. I think this E is a passing tone. Or, sorry, that's not a passing tone. This way that my engraving software spaced it out made it look like it was on an off beat. We know this is a 1 chord. We might have to backtrack a little bit because the counterpoint makes it kind of hard to pick out the chords themselves. So I think, honestly, what's happening here is that this E chord, or we have E, F sharp, A, and C. I think this F sharp might be just like a suspension over the bass. This might even be like a 1-6-4 chord. Maybe it's 5. Honestly, the counterpoint makes it really difficult because we know that 5 definitely happens on the next beat, even though this A is suspended. And here we get the full 5 chord, E, E, G sharp, and B. But here with E, B, A, and B, we know that this is already hinting at 5. But here where we have E, F sharp, A, and C, I don't think, with D here, I think there's even also the possibility that this is like a 4-7 chord. Honestly, trying to pick out a vertical harmony here is kind of challenging because there are lots of things that it could possibly be heard as, but you know, like I've mentioned in the past, cadences tend to be ambiguous because of the fact that the counterpoint gets more fluid, or the texture becomes more contrapuntal, basically. So as we start to see more melodic movement, the harmonic rhythm starts to dissolve in anticipation for the cadence. But ultimately, whether this is a 1-6-4 with like a F sharp instead of an E, kind of like a double suspension with this like ornament going on here, or whether it's actually just 5 being implied over this whole thing, I don't know. But ultimately, this beat, very difficult to analyze. Literally, it would be a 6-4-2 chord because the 7th of the chord is in the bass, and it would be an F sharp minor 7 chord. But it just doesn't. It happens so quickly, and because these are all suspended, it's very difficult to analyze. But that being said, that's the analysis for today. Some chords particularly tricky to analyze. These very brief modulations are really interesting as well. I'm starting to get more comfortable with the idea that modulations can happen on a moment's notice. And all in all, this was a very tricky chorale, one of the more difficult tonal chorales to analyze. But, you know, my big tip would be to keep listening to the melody. And if the melody sounds like you are in a different key, you probably are. And always listen to the cadences. I always listen for the cadences to identify their qualities first to give me some type of roadmap, because the majority of the chorale is not going to modulate in the middle of the phrase. Even though some of them do, the cadences will be the real road markers that tell you the harmonic form of the piece. But that being said, thanks for watching the video today. I enjoyed today's analysis. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I look forward to tomorrow's video, and I hope you take care.